A war in outer space sounds like the stuff of science fiction, but it is something we need to consider. Its impact on everybody on Earth and its implications for future human space exploration would be devastating. Right now, there are laws that are relevant to the prospect of war in space, but currently it is unclear exactly how these might be applied. Read more. Step Up Australia, we need a traffic cop in space. We and our colleagues from around the world, including experts from Australia, Canada, the United States, Russia and China, are undertaking a multi-year project to provide a definitive guide on how law applies to military uses of outer space. The aim is to develop a manual on international law applicable to military uses of outer space, MILAMOs, that covers times of tension and outright hostility. The ultimate goal is to help build transparency and confidence between spacefaring states. This should reduce the possibility of a war in space, or if it does happen, reduce the impact on the space infrastructure that we have all come to rely on so heavily. The satellites we rely on. We rely on GPS signals for many things, including navigation, communication, banking, agriculture, travel and the Internet itself. It's estimated that 6–7% of GDP in Western countries depends on satellite navigation. Communications satellites are applied not just for direct broadcast television, but also to enable many terrestrial networks. In remote areas of the world, they may be the only means of communication. In the near future, communications satellites could provide the whole world with broadband internet. Satellites help us get weather forecasts and improve agricultural production. They also help us to plan disaster relief, find and mine natural resources, monitor the health of the environment and many other applications. Expect war in space. In the military context too, satellites have become essential. In June this year, U.S. Secretary of the Air Force Heather Wilson said a future war in space is likely and the U.S. is investing heavily in maintaining its military dominance in space. She commented, "The first Gulf War in 1991 has often been called the first space war, though it wasn't actually fought in outer space. Rather, the U.S. and coalition forces relied heavily on GPS and other satellite technology to conduct that conflict. Since then, space-based assets have enabled even greater capability for land, sea and air forces. Given the dual use of many satellites, an armed conflict in space could be catastrophic to modern life." Treaty on some weapons in space. There are only 5 global treaties specific to space. Chief among them is the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, but only one of its provisions, Article 4, directly deals with military activity. It prohibits the placement of weapons of mass destruction in space. Other means and methods of destroying or interfering with a satellite are not prohibited, although other areas of law, like the laws of armed conflict, regulate their use. This includes things such as anti-satellite missiles, directed energy weapons, including lasers, electronic warfare, cyber warfare and dual-use technology, such as on-orbit servicing, mechanic, satellites. A combined effort,